Parents Lounge. All right. That's the show, man. That's it. And again, we're not getting blasted for any plagiarism.
Nope, no more. We have fought that spam war long enough.
We have some guy on YouTube keeps blasting us every week for some kind of copyright infringement. Welcome to our Tuesday night oasis of parenting, the Parents Lounge. I'm joined as always by my pal, my partner in crime, Mr. Jason Gowan.
Hello.
I'm of course Jamie Kaler, and we have a fantastic show tonight. We have moms. That's it. We're going this style tonight. We're asking your mom and stuff. So they will be in a second or two. How was your weekend, my friend?
Well, we did the 4th of July. Turns out my son hates fireworks with every fiber of his being. So
he's a dog. He's like a dog. Yeah. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, he did. Broke several windows, just bursted right through them. He ran down the street. We had to catch him off his leash. You know, that old
No. You got to give him some Benadryl and put him down, brother.
I didn't. Well, we made a deal with him. We bought him like the earphones that suppress gunfire, and we just put those on him, and we watched a movie in the backyard instead of going to fireworks.
I don't know a lot of kids who don't love fireworks. My kids lost their minds. They love them, but it was so late. By the time 9 o'clock rolls around, when it gets dark enough to have fireworks, the kids are hanging on by a thread anyway. So they're not, it's not that big of a deal. Yeah. We did the same, man. We had a crazy long ass weekend. They were so bad over the weekend, so spoiled. That's it. I took away TV, iPads. I haven't given them back yet. I'm I can't.
How long are you going to hold out on this? How long can you do this?
I don't know. We're going to talk to our other guest though. So, yeah, it was a crazy weekend. But again, I need some mom influence. So let's bring in our first mom for the night. She's kind of become a regular now at this point.
Yep.
You know her from Bring It On. Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Our friend Miss Clare Kramer is here. Hi, Clare.
Hi, Claire.
Hello, everybody. I think you just made a new show. The new spinoff is Buffy the Vampire Slave. Is that what you were saying?
Honestly,
I would watch that show.
Or Bring It Slayer. I like both iterations of what you're thinking, Jamie.
You could have the band Slayer on there. And,
right, Slayer on. There you go.
Put them on. The whole thing sells itself. It
does. It's like a package deal, ready to roll.
We always laugh.
You need to merge those two properties together. There's the show.
Yeah.
It is literally every Tuesday is such a massive craziness to get in here to do this show. My kids are on the other side of that door, losing their mind. I finally just shoveled food in front of them and I was I'm gone for an hour and a half. Just do something. So I don't know.
Take care of yourself.
I wish I could have given them iPads, but I made a stand. I said no iPad, no TV. So I'm trying to hold that.
That's a tough stand.
How are you? Where are you with the iPads and the TV?
They don't have iPads. So mine, just as a reminder for anyone who hasn't heard me talk incessantly about my children, is they are 13, 11, 9, and 7. And I have taken a hard line. They do not have phones and they do not have iPads. And they do have computers, which they are allowed to, do whatever you can do on a computer at various points during the day. And with TV, I am all in on anything that I consider quality entertainment. So they've seen all, everything I like, and they don't watch any Disney Channel or any Nickelodeon or anything like that. Not knocking those places. There's some quality content there. But my kids, for example, my 13-year-old she's rewatching Pretty Little Liars for the second time. All, however many seasons, 7 seasons.
So why is that okay and why is Nickelodeon not okay?
I am intrigued by that as well.
Because I feel I want them to be filmmakers and artists. And yes, you can absolutely be. One of our friends works on, Henry Danger and the spinoff, and it's a great show. But I feel I'd rather have them studying M. Night and Scorsese and, Ron Howard and quality filmmakers, or else George R.R. Martin and different styles of television than I would have them studying slapstick sort of family sitcom type stuff.
I used to have that same kind of I guess view When I first moved down, I was like, I only want to do certain things and stuff. And then I kind of started to appreciate the work of other people. Because honestly, I ended up doing a bunch of those shows, and they turned out to be some of the most fun. And they're just aimed at a different audience. And you're like, why? Like you go to the audition, and I'd already be like acting like this, and they'd be like, Jamie, can you just bring it up a little bit? And you're like,
yeah, you're like, bring it up, okay.
Hey, how's it going? And
I don't have a problem acting on that stuff. I haven't, but I don't have a problem with it. I don't have a problem with them being on that stuff. I just would prefer as their template of understanding a different, style for them to learn from. I don't know.
Well, their style nowadays are quickie YouTube videos and TikTok influencers. So we're dinosaurs at this point. So it's all going away. Anyway.
I know. It's crazy. The quality of content, talk about the difference between what I'm talking about and like Disney and Nickelodeon, which is still great quality content, and what they're used to seeing on YouTube. And it's like, the bar's like, woo.
It's like a crazy ball of slime with the guy just stirring it.
Yeah, right.
And he's like, then he goes back, and there's a carrot comes in, and you're like, what? And a unicorn glitter, and it's got like 17 billion views, and you're like, wow, that guy made like millions of dollars.
I'm glad I went to NYU. that paid off big time.
Well, did you see Steven Dorff came out and blasted Black Widow? Like I used to have, I kind of did. Maybe I got beaten down over the years, but I had that about like comics. Like if I didn't think someone was funny, then I just didn't think they weren't funny.
Right.
But I kind of got past that when I saw, like I have been at shows where I saw a guy who I didn't love his material, but he performed in front of like 12,000 people. And I'm like, well, maybe it's me.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people who really like this cat, and he's making millions of dollars. So maybe it's just not my sense of humor.
You know what? Also with comedy, I think that like, first of all, as your perception of the world changes, things that weren't funny 5 years ago are suddenly like absolutely hilarious. But secondly, a great example of this is the movie Anchorman. Great movie. Love this movie. But I had to watch it a couple times to appreciate it. And even like today, when you watch it anew, there's a newfound appreciation for the comedy every single time. Same with Elf, like another great example, which I watch that movie every Christmas, obviously.
Claire, it's interesting you say that because Will Ferrell's movies in particular, you're the only other person I've ever heard say that. I have to watch them sometimes several times before they click.
Yes, Blades of Glory, another great example with John Heater.
Another great example.
Great movie, but the first time through, you're just kind of like, I don't know. And then you just like, the more you watch it, you just really appreciate like the humor and like the talent that goes into them.
It's so absurdist that when you're first watching it, you're taken aback because it's not what you expected. I felt that way when I first saw the first John Wick. I went to the movies, and for the first 7 minutes, I was like, is this a joke? This is the worst film I've ever seen. And then at 9 minutes, I was like, I am all in. I love this film more than anything. And now the first John Wick. Yeah. Yeah.
No, yeah. I'm the same way with John Wick. It took me a couple starts of like kind of falling asleep where he's like at the house with the dog. And I'm like, what is happening? And then finally got there. They just released a picture today I saw of Keanu in Germany filming John Wick 4. It was like him, like kind of like standing by like a wardrobe rack. Like that's all we get. But
I watched the Tomorrow War. I guess we could do our review of the Tomorrow War.
Yeah. Well, my review will start by my kids love Chris Pratt because they love Guardians of the Galaxy. Right. And so they're like, where's the good music? And I'm like, it's not the same franchise. Different.
He is uber charming. It's ridiculous. Had I paid to see it in the movies, I might not have enjoyed it as much, but I was like, all right. And the suspension of disbelief is off the charts. I'm like, wait, what's happening in the story? But at its heart, when I brought it up, it's a father-daughter film.
Wait,
what?
Jason, it's insane. All of a sudden, the whole insane story of aliens and time travel and global warming. It's a lot about global warming as well.
Because why not?
End of times. You're like, why didn't they just go full bore and let's throw some vampires and zombies? What's missing? What's left? But at the core of it, it is truly a father-daughter film with time travel involved.
It's
actually
a good movie.
I teared up a couple of times in the middle of the Tomorrow War, only because it's a father-daughter, and I was like, "Oh, daddy."
My kids actually brought it up. We watched it 2 nights ago, and they brought it up this morning. They were like, "I've been thinking about that movie." So it is like also like a creeper thinker type movie, you know? Like I think we may watch it again.
We were going to watch it. So you guys recommend that Melissa and I check this out? Or no?
It'll take your brain off of your kids for a couple. Actually, it won't. It'll make you think about your kids for a bit. He time travel. I don't want to wreck anything, but he time travels, and his
no spoilers. The moratorium isn't over yet. We got to give it like 10 days.
I agree. It's absolutely the most ridiculous thing you've ever seen. It's over the top and insane. It tried to be the edge of. It should have been called the Edge of Tomorrow Wars because it's got a little. And it's Skydance, which is Tom Cruise's movie. You're like, is this the same story as like? It's odd. It's just odd, but it's fun. And Chris Pratt's so likable as a human being.
So likable.
Yeah. All right, fantastic.
Didn't he
Let's
just have a
get
baby?
her in here.
Oh yeah, bring in our guest.
Let's bring in our other guest. Yes, Claire.
Claire just made herself part of the show.
Pretty soon it's going to be just the Clare Kramer show, which honestly I would watch that show way more. This woman is awesome. She's been on before. I love her so much. She has a huge podcast called Reality Life with Kate Casey. Please welcome Kate Casey. Hi, buddy.
Ooh, yeah. Okay. I Benadrylled the kids, so hopefully they'll leave me alone.
Dude, we're done. We realized that people who watch this thing were like, please, more moms, because you guys are idiots, and so we brought you guys on to talk
honestly, about. Just quick quiz. Do you know the names of your kids' teachers?
I do.
Okay, what are the names of their 3 best friends?
Well, first of all, the teacher's Caitlin Reeves, Mrs. Godinez. The assistants are Tracy Carlos, Mr. Miles Hadid. Their best friends are Charlie, Harper, Grace is yeah.
You just
make those names up. Those are not real kids.
Jason, what's your pediatrician's name?
Dr. Rossi.
Holly Wang.
Okay.
Actually, I just called this morning to set up their dentist appointments and their dermatology appointments.
Impressive.
I'm Mr. Mom. I am Mr. Mom.
Me too.
My wife works way harder than I do.
The dermatology appointment is because they've got the skin of chalk, correct?
Yes, it's pure alabaster, and they go up if they just get out into direct sunlight, they go up like flash paper. I got to carry a fire extinguisher. Yeah. It's pretty hard. Yeah, I just spray them with white paint.
Too. Yeah,
yeah,
I get it.
They're crazy. Hey, you didn't watch the Tomorrow War, did you?
No.
She's like, what are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
The new Chris Pratt movie.
Oh, can I be honest with you?
Yeah.
You can. We appreciate it.
Honestly.
He gives me the creeps, and here's why. I felt like he was funny and enjoyable, and then he found religion, and now I find him to be judgy, and I feel like the church that he's a part of, I've been digging deep into it, and it seems misogynistic.
So I've heard that said before.
You had such a dislike of this guy that you actually went and did some side research on your own. You just went down the wormhole.
All women do it. Yeah. No, I'm not really.
Is that real?
I don't know if I'm fully invested in the story of him until he gets a little bit clear with the misogynistic church.
I don't know the church.
It's like this group that's like lots of men, and it's like finding the Lord, and I don't understand it, and I don't know where it comes from.
Does it involve polygamy?
Not polygamy. I feel like it's polygamy
like,
adjacent, maybe.
Okay, maybe.
Mm. No, it's just like the rhetoric
Mormon adjacent.
Is all very like, man runs the home and women are subservient. And, I would, if I were to interview him, I would say, I don't give 2 shits about your movies, but I will ask you this. What's up with your church? You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Let's talk. If I had a choice, I would start a church where it was the opposite. It was one wife with numerous husbands. And then we all kind of had our own rooms, and we spent like 1 week with her, sleeping in the bed, whatever she wanted us to do. It's like a timeshare thing where it was one woman with a lot of dudes. And that way I could just play golf most of the time. And then that 1 week I'd be like, I'm here. Do you need me to rub your feet? And then we'd go from there.
I think that you'd probably be in the minority because I think most of those dudes would be like, let's be real, I'm the number one guy, right? And then it would like be persistent. Like, no, really, I'm the number one guy. And she'd be like, seriously, enough.
There would be a pissing contest for sure.
I've watched enough cult documentaries, polygamy-centric shows to know that wouldn't work.
Well, I think you have to have guys who've been married over 10 years. It's like,
maybe.
It's like a guy who was on if a guy was on a deserted island long enough,
right,
then he'll be happy to just eat whatever. He doesn't care. So
I'm going to add to that a husband over 10 years and who has daughters coming into the season, if you will. You know what I mean? Like the ebbs and flows. They would probably be much more willing to agree to that program. You know what I mean?
Well, it's the same. When I first moved to Hollywood, I wanted to be one on the call sheet. I wanted to be Ted Danson. That was my goal. I wanted to be Ted Danson and just do sitcoms. And now I just want to be the fifth guy on the call sheet for like CSI New Mexico, where I work at the morgue. And like once an episode, they come in and they go, "What happened?" I go, "He didn't make it, man. It's bad. It's bad." And that's it. That's my whole scene. And then I cash my check and I sit in my trailer for the rest of the week.
My girlfriend works on all the Lifetime movies with Eric Roberts. It's like if anything having to do with like a crazy woman babysitter or whatever, she's in it, and she lives a very good life.
Yeah, Claire knows.
I like Lifetime movies. I do them for the billboards.
She has some problems with Nickelodeon and Disney, but she likes Lifetime movies.
I think that they should have, and this is like, if I were executive producer, and I probably shouldn't say this because I should try to sell it myself, but I've never understood why they've never had a competition show, the next Lifetime TV star.
Oh, that's brilliant.
You know, like where people are competing to be in the next Lifetime TV movie. I think it'd be good. I don't know.
That'd be fantastic. Okay, that'd be fantastic.
Who would judge that show?
I want a reality show about a bunch of really attractive people between 30 and 35 who are still
I think it's called The Bachelor.
Trying to become actors, but not in shit roles, but like they're in the upper echelon where it's like indie roles, like they're not like a household name, but they're incredibly good at what they do. And so you're revealing the absurdity of the industry where you're highly talented and have a prodigious background, but you still haven't like hit that.
They had a show like that back in the 90s. It was called The Next Big Thing or something. And actually Jeremy Renner was one of the guys on it.
Really?
Oh, get out.
I think it might have been called The It Factor or something. And it was a bunch of people who had done a bunch of commercials and it kind of had some, and I remember Jeremy Renner was on it. And then he still didn't work for like another 15 years.
Yeah.
And then hit it.
He was on an episode of Buffy. So we ended up in London together. And it was just after he finished filming Dahmer. And we had the most amazing, because it hadn't come out yet. And we had the most amazing discussion about like what he did with the character, how he got like, I'm like, what do you do with Jeffrey Dahmer? Like, how do you get into that? Like, you have to use, untraditional methods to get in touch with like such a crazy, personality as that. And we had this awesome discussion. And I just remember him being like, and we, talked all night. I remember him being like, I think I'm going to quit acting. And I was like, no, you can't. Like, just let this movie come out and see what's going to happen. And, and he is just like, his performance in that, he deserves everything he's gotten. And I also loved him, when he stepped in the Bourne series. I thought he did a great job.
I just watched it the other night.
Hawkeye, I'm not mad at that either.
He's a great actor. The one where he's the disposal unit. Yeah, he's the bomb disposal guy. Hey, listen, we got a couple topics we got to cover here. Did everyone see Kate, the cheerleader, goes to the Supreme Court after she says F you to her JV, to the cheerleading coach? Did you see that whole story?
Is this like a real story or made for TV?
No, it's real.
No, this is real. It just came out of the Supreme Court.
But it's also going to be the audition scene for your Lifetime movie competition.
This is it. This is the Lifetime scene. So the story goes, she didn't make the varsity cheerleading team. National news. This was national news. And so she was like, F you, fuck you to everybody. She made a video, a TikTok video, put it up, posted it on Instagram, whatever. And it got back to the school. So the school kicked her off the JV squad and then reprimanded her. She got detention or whatever. And so she took him to court and said, it's freedom of speech. You can't do that. And it went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court sided with her.
8-1.
She can say whatever she wants off school property.
Yeah, 8-1. So not even close.
Who was her counsel? Who was paying for this? And are her parents just like bored?
ACLU, American Civil Liberties Union, took it because it's a First Amendment case. It's a freedom of speech.
There you go. Okay, interesting.
And it was a 4-year battle, I believe, right?
So the question I pose to you guys is, if your daughter posted a video, especially Claire, if your daughter didn't make the national dance squad, and she was like, fuck you, fuck you, I'll fucking kill you, fuck you. What would you do?
What would I do? Well, first of all, I just reviewed myself on Brandy's little case here, and it was on Snapchat. So that video should have disappeared if she was using Snapchat correctly. It should have never gone this far.
Somebody recorded it somehow, if I remember correctly.
Right. Other people can record your Snapchat.
Yes, they can.
Ridiculous.
It's always good to remember that, people using Snapchat. Yeah. I've migrated away from that app for that reason.
Don't worry, this goes away. No one can see this.
Lies. What would I do in that situation? Well, the child that would do this would be River, my 11-year-old. Yes. Clearly.
Oh, I love that name.
The wild one. And I would allow it. If it were posted unbeknownst to me, I would make her take it down and put up an approved version without vulgar language, but still expressing her feelings. And I would allow that. I would not allow her to, come out. And I don't know the history behind whether Brandy's parents knew at the time what she posted or they supported her after it was revealed that she was being punished for what she posted, in which case I would also act in accordance with what her parents did, because it's too late to remove the content. But had I control over the content, I would allow River to express herself, but without vulgar language, so that she was speaking eloquently to the misjustice of not making the seniority cheerleading squad.
I love a good swear word. I do. But I also really appreciate a well-phrased, like, especially when you talk to people on the phone and you're trying to get, like the other day, our sparkless water was delayed and they didn't tell us. And so I talked to the woman and she's like, and I said, well, you've got to give me something. And so I didn't swear. And I said, I want the manager, and I spoke very eloquently. And of course the guy gave me a free month or something, but I've done it before where I was like, fuck you. And it gives them the excuse to hang up.
Bye-bye. Yeah.
What would you do if your kids did that?
So it's a twofold lesson. One, as a parent, approve the content and make sure it's reflective of how you want your child to be presented. If you can't do that, then you must support your child if you truly believe that she had been wronged. And if she was punished for something that happened off campus, that's not appropriate. And apparently the Supreme Court agrees.
Kate?
Wow. What a crazy story.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's all you got on that?
Well, I mean, I feel like.
Do you guys swear around your house at all? Like, I swear. My kids haven't really repeated my words, but I swear all the time.
It's bad. I know.
But I also have a great vocabulary, I feel. And since they've been little kids, I've really spoken very well around the house. And so, it would be great to, do a great monologue that is like, I feel there has been a grave injustice in this procedure. Oh, and by the way, go fuck yourself. If you did it like that, you'd be like, oh, that's gold. That's gold.
You know what? When you mix up the content, that's when you get the appreciation for the swear word. If you're always like, F this, F that, blah, 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 then it just kind of is like, it doesn't mean anything. You have to make it mean, it's like the middle name. It has to mean something when you actually execute on the swear word.
It's got to be on a good meal. Boom. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I feel like this makes me realize what a horrible parent I am, because I feel like I would have said to my child, really? You're this upset about a cheerleading team? Let me break this down to you. The cheerleading team means jack squat in the grand scheme of your life. Think of life in a 5-5-5. How's this going to affect you 5 minutes, 5 weeks, 5 months, 5 years from now? This thing, not so big. The best revenge is to be successful outside of high school so you can go back to your reunion, look at the people that were on the cheerleading team and go, that was the best that you got. But look at me.
Honestly,
It's tough but fair.
That's a good take.
I
That's
haven't heard like the
5-5-5
thing, and I like that.
Yeah.
What is it? 5 minutes? 5?
That's how I live my life. How's this going to affect me? 5 minutes, 5 days, 5 weeks, 5 months from now, 5 years from now. And some things, yeah, it's going to suck in the short term, but maybe not in the long run, and vice versa. But that's how I weigh all my decisions. Like, is this really worth the fight or not?
Mm-hmm.
It's super funny.
Yeah, that's good advice.
Interesting. What did you think about Britney? Now, Kate, you have in-depth information on Britney, right? That's a father-daughter relationship. Before
we go any further, Kate, I need to know the ages of your children.
So 2 of them have the same exact birthday, and that's next week. So it's roughly, they're all 2 years apart. So it's like 12, 10, 8, 6, and 3.
Okay, got
12, it. 10, 8, 6, and 3. Yeah.
Okay. Mine are
4 boys, 1 girl.
Okay, I have 2 and 2.
No, 4 girls, 1 boy. I was
going to say, isn't that flip?
Yeah. Okay.
4 girls, 1 boy. Yeah.
Got it. Okay, so
and
not
4 girls.
I have 2 and 2. I have 13, 11 girl, 9, 7 boy.
Okay. Oh yeah. That's basically my same ages. Like 4th grade, going to 2nd grade.
Yes. Okay, sorry. Britney Spears. Let's go.
Oh, so I've done a lot of interviews. I interviewed the executive producer of the New York Times documentary, Framing Britney Spears. I interviewed Elizabeth Wagmeister from Variety and the co-hosts of Eat, Pray, Britney. And we did a whole episode about the conservatorship. And then I just had an attorney on who kind of gave the nuts and bolts of how conservatorship works and what's going on in this case. Obviously, I'm going to have to do an updated episode at some point because there's like always something new going on.
Today, in fact.
A very complex story. It's hard to know all the moving pieces, but the net that I got is that you have 2 parents that are basically from the sticks, 0 education, really. I mean, maybe high school, but totally overwhelmed by the magnitude of running an empire or having proximity to it. And also a very odd relationship between the parents. The mother is just a weakling. The father, who is gotten a Napoleon complex, believes himself to be far more intelligent and successful than he really is in his own mind. And the mother, even though they've been divorced for so long, enables his behavior. And then you've got siblings that are at some points, and that one of the children, I think at all points, making money off of this too. So it's basically a hellacious family dynamic. And, unless you really look at her own medical records, I think it's really hard for any of us to have a definitive point of view about it. But it just seems like in the periphery that there's been a grave injustice, at least at some fundamental level.
She lost, right? They sided with the father, I thought.
Well, the problem is that also she has had this attorney who resigned today, but he has refused to file the paperwork that says that she wants out of the conservatorship. And that's to the attorney that I spoke with. He said that that's the biggest thing is like, one cannot move forward in this case if that paperwork is not filed. And for some reason, this gentleman, Sam, refuses to sign the paperwork. And not only he refuses, has now just said, I'm out. Bessemer Trust just backed out too. And I think part of it's probably the PR that comes with it. I think that Larry Rudolph just came forward. He was her manager, and he said, I haven't spoken to her in 2.5 years, but she's just come to me and said, I want to formally retire. Therefore, I don't need your services anymore. So it seems like there are a lot of people in the orbit, many who have received money, who don't seem to have much communication with her, which is incredibly sad, because if you have total ownership over one's life, I mean, we're talking about somebody who has a spending limit every week of about $2,000, although her empire is worth $60 million, which is actually quite low if you think of the course of her career. And it just seems like no one's communicating. And the more that you learn about her father, the more troubling it is. And there was an article that just came out by Dominic Patton in Deadline, very good read about the relationship she had with her father and the things that he has said that are abusive, to say the least. It just, I think that the great thing that over the last couple of years is that people are kind of awakening to misogyny and to an absurd amount of power that some in management have over performers. And this is an example that we will be talking about for the rest of time, because here is someone who seems to be in a court proceeding saying, I am someone who wants control over my life. But we have been told for many, many years that she's incapable of making basic decisions. And I almost think that there was also a narrative like maybe she didn't take her medication, or it was fed to us that this is somebody who's totally incapable of making basic decisions like hygiene and medications and everything. And that did not seem to be the truth in the courtroom that day.
I don't know.
Nor by her career. I mean, the conservatorship isn't anything new. She performed under it for many years,
Yes.
So you're telling me she's incapable of, making these decisions, yet she can go perform a 2.5 hour show, nightly.
Yeah, because she was at a residency in Vegas, right?
Right. I mean, it's ridiculous. I feel for I'm horrified by the whole situation. I am 100% on her side. I feel like injustice is everyone who's dipped their little finger in that, pool of Britney wealth and showmanship and talent, should be ashamed. It's horrible.
Just to play the devil's advocate for a while, if she had control of the money, would it all be gone?
But that doesn't matter. That's not for money. It's not for money, so. It's not for us to. Yeah. I mean,
I don't know, because everyone has that crazy member in their family. Like,
it sounds like honestly what she wants to do, and she has said this. I just want to drive in a car with my boyfriend. I'd love to have a baby. That's the interesting thing from a legal perspective. This case is the intersection of disability rights and reproductive rights, because the decision really hones in on a 1927 decision that basically sterilized a woman with disabilities, and that was the precedent-setting case. And it seems like it needs to be updated, because she seems to be very competent, and she's saying that she's been forced to have an IUD. She just wants to have a life away from all of this and to have another baby. And they've prevented it for years. And that, I mean, at a very cellular level, there's something incredibly wrong with this picture.
Yeah, I thought the same thing when I saw it. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the whole story is, but I was surprised because I thought that they were going to go, yeah, this is crazy, and give her all of her rights back. But then they sided with the father.
There's too many people that have, there's too many men that have been involved that if one starts getting called out, it's going to be a domino effect. And so they're all, in my opinion, staying, protecting each other and the past and what has happened in the past. Perhaps now, if the conservatorship were to be brought up, it would be a completely different scenario, but 16 years ago when it was first enacted.
And the mother can't run the conservative. I mean, it might seem.
The mother is a total enabler. She's terrified of her husband. She's totally passive aggressive. She won't stand up to anybody.
Wasn't he a stage dad early on? He was like a crazy stage dad out of the chute, wasn't he?
No, not really. He couldn't have actually really cared less until she started to make money. I mean, he doesn't have a formal education, I don't believe. He was like a chef, and he worked at I think doing manual labor. This is not somebody who has any capability of handling massive, a financial empire like that. What I was going to say to you, Jamie, too, is that with 2 daughters, I really implore you to watch that New York Times documentary Framing Britney Spears, because you really have some context of the way that she was treated as a young performer and how the systematic abuse of her, the way that the reporters treated her, the way that the tabloids treated her, the way that she was basically fed to the wolves, even by her own family.
Well, how deep does the conservatorship go? Like, how much do they control, Kate?
Everything.
They control every decision that she makes. The where she lives, who she spends time with. She doesn't have control over her social media. She doesn't have control over her schedule. She only gets $2,000, roughly over $2,000. Is it a week or a month or something?
She can't cut her hair. I don't like. It's literally everything on your body. Anything you couldn't die.
It's basically to just give you some idea. Conservatorships are usually set up for people who are suffering from dementia or Alzheimer's. She was set up with a conservatorship when she was 30 years old.
She
and so also she was in a custody battle with her, ex-husband. And her father is telling authorities that she's unwilling to hand over a child during an exchange. And then next thing you know, there are helicopters above and there's paparazzi outside. So there was this narrative that she was a wild and incapable parent. Whereas the people that, and the Deadline article talks about that, the one by Dominic Patton, he says, or there are people that were in her orbit that said she was an incredibly loving mother, and she was overwhelmed with having to pass on her child, whom she gets unconditional love from in a sea of people who need things from her during custody exchanges. And at one point, she just was like, I can't do it. So she locked herself in a bathroom. And a normal person would come and sit by the door with her and say, we understand, maybe he can stay with you tonight and then we can revisit in the morning, and like just talk someone through an emotionally difficult situation. But instead, helicopters are called, paparazzi are called, police officers show up, someone knocks the bathroom door down, rips the child out of her arms. And that's when that set of course of events where she's shaving her head, because she was like, I have to have control over my life. But we were told a different story, so that's the problem.
I have moments like that. Like yesterday, the kids were driving me so crazy. I was like, I'm not going to make it. I can't be here. Like I had to walk outside. I only have 2, and I was like losing my mind. I was going to like punch the lamp again. I was like, I have that feeling all the time. And I can only imagine if I was like, I sometimes see people like who are giant stars with like people all around them doing stuff. And I'm like, I don't know. I couldn't do it either. I know mentally I would have a meltdown and lose my mind because I don't like that. So I totally get it. Yeah, I know. Crazy.
Claire, looking back, I'm assuming that you watched the documentary as well. I mean, you really were in the Buffy days kind of in that space, and you have probably been witness to some, maybe not Britney, but other people. I mean, the lens through which you probably watched that was probably really remarkable and interesting.
No, I absolutely. I mean, I've been at clubs where Britney has come, and like the paparazzi completely. This is back in like the early 2000s, late 90s. The paparazzi would come, or it would be like a Paris and Lindsay and basically those two. I remember one time, Nicole. But yeah, it's completely overwhelming when you are in that kind of an environment. And that what people have to remember, especially, about the head shaving and all that stuff, that was before social media. So people didn't get their information the same way they do now, which is on Twitter or on Instagram, or she posts an Insta story and people can digest it. No, people literally were stalking these girls, like stalking them. And they had no life. They had no ability to just be free, be normal, walk into Anthropology, walk into, wherever, Target, and just do what normal people do. In a way, it's a lot more normalized now because the paparazzi has lost that. They don't have to go on the hunt for creative material like they used to really have to like hunt these women, to get pictures, to sell, to publish, to fund their own careers. So it's just absolutely a horrible, horrible situation. I'm glad that the paparazzi has changed over the last 10 years a lot for these women.
Think about that. It has changed. I didn't realize that, because now you take your own picture and post it. So that picture they're going to snap of you is worthless. It's really not
the same. I remember my kids were playing soccer when my young daughter was playing at the same field that Britney's sons were playing. And there was just like a whole line of like wide camera, like super long lenses, you know, around the edge of the property, just waiting. It's just no way to live, you know? And if you have that and you have a family that is, you know, living off of everything. I mean, we've seen it a million times, you know, it's not only Britney. Her story is just really exemplified for a multitude of reasons, but you know,
I think you're right, Katie. I think it's going to be a story that they're going to talk about for years. There's going to be documentaries, and once they finally get all the facts and break it down, it's pretty interesting about the whole.
It's not over. I mean, it's far from over. You know,
well, like there's people dropping off from the dealing with it like left and right. They're dropping like flies.
Well, I think it's a horrible PR for many of them.
Mm-hmm.
If you are, and this is speaking from somebody that used to do crisis media, you do not want your name to be involved in anything of this magnitude. So it's wise for them to relieve themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, speaking of somebody, like what is it? What exactly is crisis media? Like something happens, blows up, and then everyone's like, okay, we gotta put out the fire.
Yeah, shit hit the fan. Who do we call? Ghostbusters.
Well, did you see? Then I'll ask you this, because since we're talking about media and stuff and today's events and stuff, did you see the Rachel Nichols story?
I did see that. Mm-hmm.
So she's right, what she says, but she's blasted for it because she's being honest about the fact that somebody else may have got a job with an NBA thing, because all the networks now are trying to use diversity hires to show that they're, you know, doing it.
Inclusive, yeah.
I don't know if I agree if what she said was okay. I think that the way she's handled it is the best way you can, which is to say, I in no way would want to harm anyone else, including, you know, the other woman who is a terrific professional in her own right. And that she really is grateful for the job that she has at ESPN, and, you know, continues to be excited to be employed by them, and that it was a mistake and you move on from it. When you start,
why is it a mistake when we talk about stuff?
You start going into the details, you're never going to win. No one will move on from the story if you just don't. The quicker to move on if you just go, my bad, my words were.
That's why she did it.
Used. And
but I see comics apologizing for stuff instead of owning it. I see people now, that's like the natural reaction to go, hey, I did say that. And, you know, I kind of do believe that. And I think, I'm sorry that I said it. I'm sorry if it hurt anybody's feelings, but I do feel that way. Like, I've lost parts to guys who were different ethnicities, and I was like, oh, I get it. They know that they have to hire different ethnicities at times, and that's just the way of the world now. And the same way back in the day where they hired a white guy to do the sports over other people who were as qualified to go, oh, everybody wants to watch a white guy. I just feel like
the reality, but
we don't talk about these things because it's so like we want this to be this way, but we can't talk about the fact that it's happening.
I mean, but to say that there hasn't been an injustice for women of color is outrageous, because they absolutely have. And I think that what Rachel has said is absolutely unfair to the other woman, because she is a really accomplished professional and she gets pulled into something that she does not deserve. I think that the onus is really on ESPN to also say something about how they how diversity and is really important to their to the values of their network. I don't know. I also believe that uncomfortable conversations lead to good things. So I tend to believe that
that's my point. That's exactly my point. Exactly what I'm talking about. The fact that we're not talking about it, as opposed to being like, we need to make some changes, and these are all happening, and certain things have to happen. It was, and to talk about it more so. It's just everybody, like, I have comic friends who say jokes and then apologize. It's a joke.
You know what else was sad about that is I was reading about it and how they were demonizing Rachel, saying, well, let us remind ourselves that she's also the daughter-in-law of Diane Sawyer. So she probably got her job because of Diane.
Oh, yeah.
She's 47. Come on. She's 47 years old. She's been working in her industry for probably, 20 plus years. And even though it may have slowly opened a door for her, she's proved herself so much so that she's continued to be employed by the best sports network in the world and has done a great job. So, I mean, those are the same people that are putting down a younger woman who's a woman of color are also putting Rachel down. And who is not being held accountable? The network run by men who make these decisions.
It's still the same white dudes running running all those networks. Yeah. I'm amazed when I see Sports Center, and I feel so bad because I just want them to get back behind the desk, but they have to stand up and be in a full body shot in a tight outfit with their legs crossed, with their hips turned to present the sports. And you're like, why is that way? I don't.
Well, you tried to make me do that when we started this show, and I refused.
But it is a visual medium, and Rachel Nichols was a cute young woman who probably also got a job because let's be honest, it's like it's a visual medium, and they're like, well, get the, they used to say for actors, it's like affability. Is someone so affable? Then they cast them.
By the way, Rachel Nichols is a degree from Medill School of Journalism. She's not some like hot girl that walked past the doors and they were like,
I love Rachel Nichols.
Hot body. She's an accomplished.
I felt like she was saying something that was so like obvious in our world today. Like we see stuff getting cast all the time, and I'm like, I go out for stuff, and then somebody else gets cast, and I'm like, oh yeah, I get that. I get what happened.
Yeah, but I think that acting in a role isn't always the same thing, right? Like
I don't believe that. I think that's acting too. Yeah. I think it's all visual medium, and that it's all part of, and again, it's the people at the top, the network, who are designing what they want you to see. So I don't know.
Well, it seems to me the people at the top, they're the ones that have to make the adjustments, not the people that are working very hard.
I'm sure they're at the Harvard Club now having a martini and just chatting about how they're going to fix them.
Yeah, screw us all over.
This show has been heavy. This is like an investigation show.
With those two girls, you got to watch LFG on HBO Max about the women's national soccer team's fight for equal pay. That's another good one. It's infuriating and inspiring at the same time. So Claire's like, who is this woman and why is she so
my friend's daughter played college soccer and was being recruited. She went through the whole if you're in Los Angeles, Real SoCal, through high school, then played in college. She was being recruited, and they were offering her as, on this professional women's soccer club, $25,000 a year. And she was like, this was about 8 years ago. She was like, I can't live off that. I can't. No. How am I supposed to live on $25,000 a year? They were like, well, that's all we have. That's it. So
it's like minor league baseball.
A wonderful
is, if they
player, she left. She went and got a job, in production.
Wow.
Her whole life.
Why doesn't the men's every other team gets the same? It goes off of revenue and ratings and stuff, I would imagine, right? That's where the money comes from.
Well, that's why you need to watch it, because they really present to you the entire picture of wins versus losses. The women's team continues to have an outrageous amount of wins.
Of course.
And the men have absolutely no titles. And the net is
men are like sucking.
The women, in order to get, let's say, I think the example was $100. Let's just say they need 11 major titles to win $100. The men need to win 3 to get paid $90. The women continue to win every World Cup, Olympic medals, everything.
Mm-hmm.
Men in the U.S., no disrespect to them, but it's a fact, barely win anything. And there are more women, there are more people at the stadiums for women than men in the U.S.
So why are the men paid more then?
That's the real question. And so they had this gentleman. It's a hard thing to call him a gentleman, but he was head of the what's the name of the
Major League Soccer?
Carlos Cordero. I forget his title, but anyway, so the women sued for equal pay. They tried to go into mediation. he puts out a statement that says women cannot be paid. The women cannot be paid as the men because they're basically biologically inferior. And then he tried to backtrack. He was like, yeah. It was like,
I mean, that's the worst defense of all time. That's a terrible defense.
Yeah.
I'm inspired. Yeah, that is crazy. I'm going to watch that documentary. I'm inspired by the women's Olympic team this year because there's two sisters on the soccer team. And I am very heavily into making my 7 and 9-year-old boys professional soccer players. They're playing in the LA SoCal youth training program right now. One is a goalkeeper, one is a center back. And I'm like, boys, this is it. This is mom's proof. This is this is another 3 cycles of the Olympics. And then this is you guys, or 2 cycles, whatever it may be. But I'm really into raising them to be professional soccer players and, Olympians. I'm just putting it out there. I love it.
There are 2 videos that I watch when I want to get psyched for something. One is the 99 World Cup win when they did all the penalty kicks. And the other is the 2018 Villanova basketball team when they won the national championship. Those are the 2 videos where I'm like, okay, I need to get myself psyched up.
Let me add in one for you. I'm going to give a third in your rotation. Okay. The Michael Jordan Gatorade game, the dehydrated Gatorade Bulls game, where he was like basically like just boom, boom, sinking him. And then they like basically carried him off on a stretcher. And he was endorsed by Gatorade. He had a Gatorade endorsement at the time. And like literally they were like, he's better. We gave him like 3 bottles of Gatorade, But anyway, that game.
The Last Dance?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So good.
Jason, you knew this was going to happen, right? You knew this, Jason. You knew this was going to happen, right?
Oh, sorry.
Well, no, not at all.
I interviewed Michael Jordan's biographer. Michael Jordan's biographer has written all the basketball books. So his name's Roland Lazenby, and he's a great storyteller. And so we talked about The Last Dance, and he told all these backstories and his pathology and how he has to be in an elevated state all the time to perform. So he just like makes up fights in his head with people. But at the end of the interview, he was telling me about this moment where Roland walks into the locker room to a young Kobe. And so he walks up and he's like, Kobe, I was just with Michael and Michael asked about you. And the way he explained Kobe's reaction, that this young man's like ears pricked up. And he was like, well, what did he say? Like hanging on every word. And it was just after Kobe had died. And I live in the same town where all those families, including Kobe, died. It was something about the way he explained that story. You can hear me sobbing in the background. Because just the idea of this young Kobe, like enamored by Michael. And it was just like 2 geniuses in that vortex. It was like too much.
And when Phil Jackson went to coach the Lakers, I was like, my life's complete. Now I can die. Like I'm a huge, I'm a huge fan of both those athletes, but I'm obviously from a coaching perspective, a huge fan of his. I mean, he's the GOAT of coaches. Yeah.
There's a show on Netflix. It's about coaches. You can look it up. I'm forgetting the name, but I will send it to you. But they do interviews with all these different coaches, tennis and soccer and basketball. And it's like in the mindset of the coaches. So not the player, but the coaches. It's really interesting.
That's great. Okay. One more thing.
Interview.
One more movie that you have to watch if you haven't. It's a soccer movie. And it's like my favorite. It's called Goal.
I never watched that?
I think it's like 10, 12 years old. Phenomenal. So watch it. That's next time. Nobody you would know. Nobody.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I have a 7-year-old daughter who's crazy about soccer. So I'll have to watch that. We're in Patio Dora's.
You guys know I played Division I soccer. That was my sport.
You did not.
I played soccer.
What college?
I went to Boston University.
Oh my God.
And here was the problem. So I transferred in. I played at a Division III school where I actually scored 4 goals in a game. And then I transferred to a D1 school and I walked on at BU and I was like, here we go, baby. The same way, Claire, you're talking about having your kids be professional soccer. And I was like, I was going pro. I was like, that's all I wanted to do was be a pro soccer player.
What position were you?
I was a center midfielder. And I'll tell you why, because when I got to BU, I realized just how fast other humans can be. And I was like, you can't coach speed. And so the first day there was 11 starters on the team. Only one dude was American. The other were like an international potpourri. They were like number 8 in the country. And so we went to do sprints, and the dude in 100 yards beat me by about 45 yards. And I was like,
you're like, whoa,
I can't cover that guy. And so luckily center midfielder, I could kind of hide my lack of speed. And I'm not crazy slow, but when you watch the EPL, when you watch the Premier League, those guys are track stars. They are the fastest humans on earth. And it's too much field. You can't guard. I couldn't guard the guys. And so then my senior year, I played ultimate frisbee. I transferred and I played. But
you have to, speaking of
intramural soccer, I destroyed intramurals, killed it. But I couldn't. All of a sudden, I realized how fast humans could be, and I was like, I can't.
And you have to work that fast twitch. You have to work it. You can't ever let it slow down, or you lose it. My one son is actually both my sons are very, very fast, but I'm like the horrible mean mom. First of all, I have them doing like sprints around the block, we're timing them like.
I would love when I see parents who are like, my kids are going to be like professional athletes.
Yeah, this is what's happening.
LeBron James is just a physical specimen. So was Kobe. So was Michael. I mean, whatever sport they played, they would have been. I mean, they're just freaks of nature.
But another great, and this is for you, training for your daughter is my boys, and now my older son is going to the World Tournament in 3 weeks in Orlando for 10 days, futsal, which is the indoor soccer with the smaller ball, and it's 5v5.
I loved it.
And
I used to play in college all the time. So much fun.
Such great training for the larger field. Don't you think, Jamie?
It's super fun, yeah. Well, it makes you control the ball better, so you have to keep it tight because you're too tight with everybody else, and then you can use the wall and stuff. It's super fun.
Oh my gosh,
I love that we went down soccer lane. That was.
Do you know? When you were at BC, did you know the story of Chris Heron?
I went to BU. I was the one Irish Catholic kid at Boston University, which was mostly. I should have been at BC, but I was at Boston University because I was ROTC. I was ROTC. That's how I went through school.
Oh, wow!
Right. I remember that.
I was a Navy lieutenant after college, and then I started acting at like 30. I know I had a weird. There's a long story back there.
I love it, but that's like all, I love people who didn't just, I grew up acting, you know what I mean? But I love the history of people who have that other perspective and career. I feel like I've become such a better artist the older I've gotten because I've had to take time away, and take time away for pregnancies. And
you had 4 children in like 3 months. You had
4 kids in 5 years, no twins.
What are the names? What are the names of the kids?
The 2 girls are Gavin and River, and the Gavin for a girl,
beautiful,
and then River for a girl, and then the 2 boys are Heart and Sky.
Really.
All right, listen.
I would tell you if I didn't like the names. I really like those
topics we wanted to cover with you guys. But
all right, wait. Let me hear her names real quick. Then we'll move on to the next topic.
Go ahead.
Amelia, but we call her Mia.
Oh,
Jack Holden is my son. And then I have 3 more girls. Hayes, Hayes, Sutton, Sutton, and Caroline.
I love all those names.
Hayes. I like that you call Gavin a girl. I really like that.
Yeah. I like it. Well, that one I didn't find out. That child, I didn't find out what I was having, if it was a boy or a girl. So I just picked the name. We picked the name Gavin, and then whatever. If it was a boy, it was going to be Gavin. If it was a girl, it was going to be Gavin.
I love it.
And that's funny enough, after I gave birth, it took me like 2 minutes to be like, "Hey, wait a minute, what I have?" And the doctor was like, "Let me check. It's a girl." Crazy.
That's awesome.
All right, Jamie, what's next?
No, honestly.
We're ready.
This is so funny.
Annoying.
This is honestly, this one is close to real life as I've felt in a long time, right? This is like I went to a party with my wife and she was like, nobody wants to hear it. Nobody wants to hear any of your bullshit stories. Just shut your mouth. I'm like, and she goes, we got it, Jamie. We've heard it before. Just sit in the background, watch the kids around the pool and go.
My favorite thing is that subconsciously, Jamie and I were posed exactly the same way for like the entire time.
At least we know if we have prior commitments,
we got our fill-ins.
Well, I mean, you did ask some pretty intense questions. All right, Kate, Claire, let's talk about Britney Spears.
That was an intense question. You can make things funny too. You can make things funny and go. You could have gone, well, first of all, the relationship's totally toxic. Boom. You could have started there. You could have done some other.
Oh,
You should say
You're right.
the father was like, "Hit me, baby, one more time." Something.
You know what?
something
We need a
else.
redo. We need a redo.
Trust me, you're going to be redoing. You're going to be here a lot. So we had a ton of other stuff, but we never talked about 4th of July fireworks with kids blowing themselves up. By the way, I was in a house in like West Hills, and we were overlooking all of like the Valley of Los Angeles, and apparently every single person who lives in Los Angeles just bought all their own fireworks and set them off. Did you
Isn't
see
that
it?
crazy? It's so funny. I've been coming down over like from Mulholland on the 405 down before on 4th of July. This time I wasn't. But it's like a war zone out there
It was
in
like-
Van Nuys.
It was like in Beirut. It's like, did I move to Beirut? Was it boom?
Wow.
It's insane. Yes, it's crazy.
Was it OC like that too, Kate?
No, it's a little bit more spread out. It's funny. I've used that phrase before too. Like it's like Beirut, Lebanon. And then I met a friend from Lebanon. She was like, "You can't really say that anymore." I'm like, "Oh, okay."
All right, it's like
Like it's nearly outdated. You got to update it.
like Kabul. It's like Kabul
Yeah,
circa
right.
1998.
Yes,
Okay,
got
you
it.
have
Roger
to use
that,
your
yes.
references. I'll work on them.
Right. Well, it's like I asked somebody from Colombia about the FARC. I'm like, "Oh, do you guys still have a problem with the FARC?" And they were like, "We haven't had a problem with them for like 20 years." I was like, "I really need to like up my game."
I still got some problems with the Mujahideen from '88, so just relax. Yeah, and that's
Exactly.
for the love of God.
Yeah, how about that
We
Taliban?
didn't talk about the
Like,
fact that I read a new study in U.S. News and World Report that says spanking does not work. I mean,
Hmm.
For who?
they say spanking doesn't
Under
work.
Under what circumstances, Jamie?
Because that's how I
It
ended up with
doesn't work.
twins.
They say it doesn't help children, and I think kids need to be a little afraid of you, but that's just me. I don't know. What do I know?
well, they can be terrified of you. You just don't, necessarily have to whack them. But like eyeballs fear is serious.
I here's my stance or my understanding. The way I use spanking or physical, you could say grabbing of an arm or something, like running in the street, grab arm, if it's a young child,
So you're saying for
something
safety,
physical,
Yeah.
so that or something so that they remember that moment and they associate pain with the action of running in the street. That I think is a good way to use it. Bad way is when you're angry and you spank your child. That's a horrible
Right. Or
thing,
if one of them smacks the other and you go, smack, you go, "You like the way that feels? Not going to do that again, are you?"
I mean, my kids are so physical too. I mean, especially
you never slapped them on the bottom, like to just not like put them across your, like just like move away, get away, and slap them on the bottom.
like you
Never
did
done
that drink, that bottle of wine there.
The drink's right there.
Get
was,
out of here.
That was actually my guitar.
I have lost my patience with my kids and yelled at them more than I would like to admit. Of course, I'm human. I have spanked them occasionally, very, very occasionally, like if they're running in the street or something like that.
If they're on the edge of a volcano and you're afraid for their life, then you would pull them back and then sleeper hold them to knock them out so that they'd remember that.
Right. Like, yeah. I don't know. What do you guys think? It's a very controversial topic, spanking.
I don't know. I mean, my father never hit me once, ever, never touched me, but my mother used to hit me with a yardstick. Like just, but to be fair, I deserved it many times.
Probably.
I deserved a good, yeah. She hit me with the vacuum hose if I was near her and she would get away. I turned out okay.
You're normal now.
My father one time, this is crazy. I think I've told this a couple times, but he never hit me once. And my mother made me go up to my room, and then she goes, "Wait till your father gets home." And then I was upstairs. I was really young, and I crept down the stairs, and I was listening to them speak. And my mother was like, "Herb, you've got to discipline." Yes, my father's name's Herb. He was like, "You have to discipline that kid. He's driving me crazy. He's terrible. You have to discipline him." And my father was just slumped over the kitchen table, and all he said was he's like, "Peg, I'm afraid if I hit him, I'm going to kill him. I think I'll kill the kid," or something. I was like, I backed up.
You're like,
in my
I
room.
never did it. Yeah.
But he never hit me. Never hit me once. I don't know. Yeah. And what got sad at the end? Did you feel that?
No, I think it's hard. I think
inside.
I think that parents, I mean, this is like, you know, obviously, Kate, you can weigh in on this too, but from a woman's perspective, you know, especially with in our day and age, all the mommy blogs and the, you know, the mommy videos and the philosophies and the this and that, I think it's really hard to admit, you know, openly, like your faults as a woman,
Nobody's
and as a mother, and as a parent
with anything.
Yeah.
Nobody will tell you the truth anymore. They're so afraid of being judged and being canceled and being whatever. My wife,
it's hard. I mean, but that's what's appealing about someone is when they're willing to be honest and be real. You know what I mean? Like I'm sitting here saying I'm not the perfect parent. I've lost my patience. I've, you know, done things that I later regret. But, you know, spanking wise, no. More like yelling wise.
I've yelled.
Oh yeah, I yell a lot.
My wife showed me a picture of over the holiday. A bunch of other parents had like a day together where they all hung out or something. They're pretty good friends of ours. And she was like, I guess we weren't invited or whatever. And for one brief second, I thought to myself, yeah, why weren't we invited? Like I was hurt, like high school. It was like, felt like high school for like 2 seconds. And I go, yeah. And I go, to be honest with you, I wouldn't have wanted to go. It seems we had some other stuff to do, but yeah, I'm a little hurt. And she was like, oh, I'm not hurt at all. And I go, of course you are. Of course it's natural. And you have to feel that immediate reaction of like, I can't believe I wasn't invited. Like this is just that natural human thing. But we're so afraid to like be honest and go, yeah, that kind of hurt my feelings a little bit, that we never talk about stuff like that. I don't know.
No, it's true. A perfect situation. This just happened like yesterday, but it's been happening. So I have lived in the same house for, I don't know, 15, 16 years, which means basically I've had the same neighbors, except my one neighbor to my left is a relatively like 4 or 5 year new couple. But the rest of the street has not changed. You know what I mean? And so for years, and immediately I was branded as like the one who kept having babies, which was true. But for years I've watched everybody walk down the block with their like potluck casserole dishes to the corner house that I have inevitably never been invited to. And like my kids are always like, are they, oh, Mom, did we get invited? I'm like, not this time, guys. So I get it. You know, it's
personal. It's hard not to.
I mean, it's like, yeah, I had a bunch of babies, but that doesn't mean I don't want to have like some macaroni salad with you. You know, I still do.
I just feel it's always great to be open and honest and go like I like no one has ever gone, I wonder what Jamie's thinking. Like I always, it's on my sleeve. I just always say it. And so I'm always amazed when other people, I'll talk to them and then I'll dig deep and I'll find out stuff. And I go, why didn't you ever say that? And they go, no, I just never said it. And I was like, I don't get it. I like the honesty. I like people to be open and go like, I think it just solves all the problems as opposed to like holding all these things inside. We all feel the exact same thing. I can tell because I'll tell a story about it on stage and everyone laughs. And if you laughed, it happened to you. That's just the way it is.
That's true.
And people are so, especially now, people are so afraid to be caught on video in a bad position or a compromising position or to say the wrong words that like everyone's so gun shy that the whole Rachel Nichols thing, I was just like, look, man, it's like comics. It's like, yeah, I said that. I felt it. I'm not the smartest guy on earth. I felt that at the moment. And, you know, if it hurt somebody, I'm sorry for that. But I felt that way. And that's the way it is. I don't know. All right.
I got you.
You got me. Oh, you got me. Hey, listen. All right. So listen, I watched The Tomorrow War, which Kate, you're going to be surprised. It's a father-daughter film. It's an intense father-daughter film. I was blown away. I was like, why is this happening? So since we had two moms on, I wanted to pull out some of the greatest mom movies of all time and tell you guys, here's the quiz, and this will be it. We'll let you guys go after this. I'm going to list the movie. You tell me who plays the mom. All right, you ready?
Okay.
And you get points for it. So whoever yells first gets points. Freaky Friday.
Jamie Lee Curtis.
That's right.
You don't get a point for that's right, by the way, Claire. Kate.
No, I said that's right.
I know, Claire got a point. Mrs. Doubtfire.
Sally Fields.
Correct.
Oh, that was a good one.
Very good. Kramer versus Kramer.
Meryl Streep.
I'll give you both one. Stepmom.
Susan Sarandon.
Boom.
Ooh.
Mr. Mom.
Mr. Mom.
Oh, her name is Terry Garr.
Boom.
Ooh, you're doing good, Kate.
Home Alone.
Bonnie.
Catherine O'Hara.
There
No.
you go.
Boom. Kate knows.
I'm thinking of Cheaper by the
It's crushing
Dozen.
it.
Darn it.
This is 40.
I don't know.
Leslie Mann.
Boom.
Yes.
Terms of endearment.
Her name is. She's the sister of.
Yes, she is.
Oh,
Warren Beatty.
Joan. Oh, Annette Bening. No.
No,
She married him.
older.
She married him. That's right. That would have been so weird.
Right?
The
It's a weird
sister of
twist.
Warren Beatty. You mean his wife?
Sister of Warren
Maybe
Beatty
the
is
greatest-
Shirley
maybe the
MacLaine.
greatest mom.
Shirley MacLaine. Shirley
Shirley
MacLaine for the win.
Yep. Poltergeist.
Oh, brown hair.
I know I can picture her in my mind.
I can't remember her name.
Joe Beth Williams.
Jo Beth Williams.
You're never going to get E.T. then. That was Jason. Throw E.T. in.
Yeah,
I don't. I can picture her. So no, D Wallace.
Williams?
There you
Wow.
go.
Wallace.
Good job.
Claire got it.
Boom.
Forrest Gump.
Sally Field.
Sally Field.
I'm going to save that one. 13.
It was Jennifer Garner and
No, that's 13 going on 30.
Oh,
13 is Evan Rachel Wood as the daughter, and she's trouble. She pierces her tongue.
Oh yeah, I don't
13.
remember the mom. I don't remember.
I don't either.
Holly Hunter.
Oh.
Oh yeah, that's
Window
right.
Wharton I mentioned.
Home for the Holidays. That's
The
my favorite,
Incredibles.
Holly Hunter. That is
Holly
Bonnie
Hunter?
Hurt.
Boom.
It is Holly Hunter.
It is Holly Hunter.
Yeah.
Mommy Dearest.
Joan
Faye
Collins. Or
Okay, Faye Dunaway.
Faye Dunaway. About Joan Collins. I'm like all around it.
Ordinary People.
Don't know.
Oh, Mary.
Yep.
Mary. What's it? She died.
Yep.
Tyler Moore.
Mary
She
Tyler.
only was had one of the biggest sitcoms ever in the history of humankind.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
American Beauty.
Annette Bening.
I don't remember.
There you go, Claire. Mean Girls.
Jamie Lee
Poehler.
Curtis.
Jamie Lee Curtis.
There's Freaky Friday. It was another Freaky. It was another
What'd you say,
Lindsay
Kate?
Lohan movie.
Amy Poehler.
Amy
Yes.
Poehler. Hey, you know your movies, man. All right, here's the last one. Did I save one more? Oh, no, here's one. 8 Mile. Eminem's mom.
Ooh, I don't remember. Brittany
Don't
Murphy
remember
was in that, right?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Kim Basinger played Eminem's
Oh,
mom.
yeah,
I
that's
do
right.
remember that now.
That's right.
We were like, I feel like they hooked up on that film. They had to have, right? They definitely had to.
Totally.
have.
Definitely.
All right, last one. Who played the mom in Psycho?
Oh God.
Tippi Hedren? No.
Who?
Tippi Hedren? No.
No.
Oh
Janet
no,
Leigh.
but in the same
Janet
vein,
Leigh's
Janet
mom.
Leigh,
Yeah.
right?
Who
That's
plays the
Jamie Lee
mother?
Curtis's mom, right?
Who plays the mom?
I don't
I
know.
can picture her.
He stabs her in the. He
In
stabs
the
her.
rocker.
It's Anthony
Yeah.
Perkins. The Anthony
Yeah,
Perkins.
Anthony. Okay, right. He played himself, right?
You guys weren't enthused at all by any.
Trick question.
We do a
Yeah,
lot.
wow.
I honestly thought Claire was going to crush in the actor category, but no,
No, it was yeah.
she's too busy working to know the other actors. All right. Hey, listen, I don't even know why Jason and I showed up for tonight. This felt like Kate and Claire show.
I showed up because
so
of my
fun.
kids.
Damn right it was.
You guys are hilarious. That's so
We're
funny.
like-
It's evolved into a crazy mom podcast.
I love it. I love your shirt too. Where did you get your shirt, Jamie? Okay, wait. Kate, your initials are KC and mine are CK.
Get out.
Oh.
Oh my God. That's okay. That's it. I'm done with
I
this.
mean,
I'm done.
what?
I don't freaking- This is honestly.
When is your birthday?
I'm a Virgo. September
Oh.
3rd.
Oh, I'm the 9th.
Ah,
September 1. April
When
4.
April 4. Okay.
This is
Aries.
I don't. This show's supposed to be a time away from.
Let's go on a date, Kate.
I know. I feel like that's what's happened here.
Hey, let's meet at the soccer field.
Let's do it.
I can set my 7-year-old, almost 8-year-old, up with your 7-year-old son.
Okay, perfect.
Is that
Now a matchmaking podcast.
That's good. That's good. Although my 9-year-old she's 7.5.
She's 8 on the 14th.
Okay, so either or, whatever she, whichever way she wants to go.
Okay, well, we can continue. We can continue this part privately. I feel like this is fantastic. All right, hey, listen, everybody. Kate has to go and take care of her kids anyway. And Claire, thank you so much. Clare Kramer, Kate Casey, Jason Gowan, the Parents Lounge. We'll be back next week with some dads. I'm pretty sure we're gonna have some dads. But honestly, thank you guys so much for. Honestly, I learned a lot tonight.
It was super
fun.
Thank
you guys so much.
Yeah.
No, it was super fun. Honestly, it's super fun to have you guys. All right, everybody. We'll see you guys next time on the Parents Lounge.
Good night.
All right.
Bye.